Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is October 22nd, and right now we are looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. We got the Hawaiian Islands bottom left, Washington State, Oregon, British Columbia up to the top right, Pacific Ocean in the middle. Check it out. The much talked about storm system is developing out here across the central Pacific Ocean. You can see it right there starting to organize. This is going to start to develop and move towards Pacific Northwest. A deep low is going to form as the parent low right across the Gulf of Alaska, and we're going to swing a powerful frontal system somewhere towards the Pacific Northwest. Still some model disagreement, of course, in this time frame as this system looks to be rolling up as we go through Friday night into Saturday. And we'll take a look at those details. We'll take a look at the extended forecast as we go through the video this morning. Taking a look at what happened yesterday, you can see that upper level low, the spin in the atmosphere right off the Washington coastline, spread some showery activity towards Vancouver Island, Western Washington, Oregon, and check it out. We had some lightning strike activity out there near Federal Way and across portions of Western Washington. Some interesting cloudscapes there in the atmosphere. And we had thunderstorms also, as we went through yesterday afternoon and evening across portions of British Columbia, Idaho, higher terrain especially, and on into portions of Montana, push on into where we are right now. You see the mid and high level clouds streaming over Oregon. We're going to have a system and some precipitation move in tomorrow as well. I'll show you some of that and the weather models coming up. But then our attention turns to that storm that we saw developing out over the Pacific Ocean and what kind of track it's going to take towards Pacific Northwest. And just a heads up, I am putting all my updates now on a Blue Sky. It is the alternative to X. YouTube is not going anywhere. That's the main reason why I'm doing this briefings, because YouTube allows me to. That is not going anywhere here. And we've got other Pacific Northwest people on Blue Sky as well. So check it out. There's been a big switch over here. So you can follow people like Mark Stewart as well. Great photographer out there. Now, taking a look at Seattle yesterday, 54 degrees, 5 degrees below average, 0.2 of an inch of rain with that shower activity yesterday. We're starting to build up that precipitation. We've got more to come as we go towards the end of the month as we look to remain active. More on that here in a moment. Taking a look out towards Lay Hill, you can see there's Auburn, Covington, Seattle Metro's over here. There's SeaTac Airport. Now, you zoomed in on this station, you can see 1, 2, 3 rounds of showers yesterday. Some heavy rain at times, some thunderstorm activity here. So, yeah, pretty active weather day here. And these weather stations do a very nice job of capturing it. They picked up the lightning strikes out there as well. So if you want one of these weather stations, click on that link down below to save 10% off. Now, here we go. We got GFS versus Euro model battle here because the GFS is not showing that frontal system moving towards Pacific Northwest the way the European model is. But we're going to take a look at some of the other weather models here as well and try to get some agreement here and see just which model is the outlier. And the 12Z GFS is running as we speak. We're going to take a look at that for the first time here this morning as well. Now, European on the left versus GFS on the right. There is where that storm is developing off to the north and east of the Hawaiian Islands. It's on both models. You'll see it spin up here as we're looking at the wind speeds about 2,500 feet up in the atmosphere. You'll see that storm system move up towards Pacific Northwest here. Gulf of Alaska low gets really churning here, and you can see this system here is more towards the northern portion of Vancouver Island versus the European, which shows this frontal system moving towards the Oregon and Washington coastline here. So there is that model disagreement, at least between the 06Z runs. We're going to look at the 12Z GFS. I'm very interested to see what it is saying. Is it going to go towards the side of the European, or is it going to continue to keep that frontal system away from the majority of the Pacific Northwest? Looking at the European on the left versus the GFS, again, breaking down that system, you can see its development here as we go on into tomorrow. Look at this subtropical tap that it's got. So it's bringing up some nice moisture values with it as well. It's going to create a pretty good pressure gradient here as we bring some of this warm, moist air back up towards the Pacific Northwest. Frontal system moves through here. And again, there is that model disagreement coming up. But yeah. That was fun watching that storm system develop. I've been having fun watching this over the last few days. We've been talking about that cutoff low for several days now, and it's finally starting to organize. So if we look at the European ensemble mean, we're going to put this into motion, and again, versus the GFS, and you'll see that powerful frontal system, nice pressure gradient. This is going to bring some windy conditions if the European is right. Much less of an impact here on the GFS, though, as far as wind is concerned, and you can see that deep low across the Gulf of Alaska. Now, looking at the Canadian model as of yesterday afternoon. Put it into motion. You see the storm system develop here. Let's see if it sides with the GFS or the European. Here we go. You can see that brings that frontal system with a more intense pressure gradient towards the Oregon and Washington coast. That would definitely bring breezier conditions here. So that's more in line with the European. The deep Gulf of Alaska low you can see across the Gulf of Alaska. Now, looking at the German model, the ICON. What we're looking at here is 500 millibar heights. You can see the cold air is there reflected in the oranges and the reds and the browns, and you can see the surface low development here. The sea level pressure is in the black lines, and then we have the system moving towards Pacific Northwest. What does it do? What is it more in line with? It looks like it is definitely in line with the Canadian and European, bringing a strong pressure gradient here across Pacific Northwest, especially as we go on in towards Saturday morning with a deep Gulf of Alaska low there. Now, let's take a look at the GFS. This is the 12Z run here. So I'm very interested to look at this. Again, the black lines are mean sea level pressure, and the oranges and reds and browns are at 500 millibars. You can see the cold air aloft. Here goes the brand new one. The 12Z GFS is on the left here versus itself last night. And we saw the GFS keep this much further north of Vancouver Island versus what the other models are saying. So as we go through this morning, what is it showing? You can see that this frontal system is definitely a bit stronger and more towards what the European, the Canadian, and the German model are saying. So it is trending a little bit further off to the east here. So that would bring a stronger frontal system. It's still not quite there yet, but that is definitely a trend in the right way if you want some stormy weather across the region. And if we take a look at the European ensembles, you can see the control run is 43 for Whidbey Island. And a lot of these ensemble members have some stronger gusts, getting some pretty good agreement. You can see this is an uptick in that wind potential here for Whidbey Island. And we've been watching this for a while now, and we still have a few days to go. Looking at Hoquiam on the Washington coast, blustery conditions, 42 miles per hour. So definitely get your attention for some areas in the Oregon and the Washington coast. Here's Seattle, Tacoma. Look at the latest control as of last night, 45 miles per hour. That would be the most intense wind so far yet this season. And there are some ensemble members a little bit higher, but you got to use caution here as well. Even some of the European ensemble members don't have that strong a wind, down into the 20s and the 30s. But you can see they're on the increase there for 40 plus mile per hour gusts. If we look at Portland, you can see not expecting strong winds out of this system. Some blustery gusts, maybe into the 30 mile per hour range or so. Tillamook, though, on the Oregon coast, 48 miles per hour showing up in the control. Here's Astoria, a lot of 40s out there. But again, we've got several days to figure this out and see if these winds are going to trend up or down. Quileute, Washington, on the Washington coast, you can see there are some ensemble members still kind of all over the place here, but trending a little bit stronger. And Victoria International Airport, British Columbia, check it out. Some gusts possible up into the mid 40s as well. Now, I want to show the wave action here. So again, this is where the storm system's developing out here. Look at this wave action get going as we go through this week. And you can see a tropical system way to the south here. There goes that Gulf of Alaska low, start to get raging, and we bring some wave action through Saturday morning. Another shot of waves as we go through the day Sunday as well. So if you're headed out to the coast this weekend, watch out your children and your pets and yourself. Don't turn your back on the ocean. Every single year, people get injured or worse along the west coast of North America. Let's try to keep all those incidences to a minimum. Now, looking at the artificial intelligence European model, last night's run, there goes our system, their cutoff flow that quickly gets reabsorbed back into the westerlies. Deep Gulf of Alaska low is going to be raging here, and we're going to bring some very cold air aloft as we go on in through the early portion of next week as well. You could be talking about some mountain snows and then additional systems riding down out of the northwest. Those be on the chilly side. A ridge built in at least temporarily, and then maybe another system here. Mother Nature doesn't like to keep things too quiet here across Pacific Northwest for too long once you start moving into the month of November. Looking at total precipitation in inches on last night's European ensemble mean, you can see as we bring that system in here on Saturday and through the weekend, we're starting to bring some precipitation back in here. So we're playing a little bit of catch up here for some places. Seattle South, Seattle North, whole different story. Huge amounts of precipitation so far this month for British Columbia. Some places getting up over the monthly values, just in one day. And the North Cascades, Olympic Mountains as well. So you can see this finally targeting some of Washington and Oregon a little bit better. And if we look at the National Blend of Models, total snow in inches. So we're going to scroll through here. And what I want you to pay attention to as we go through the early portion of next week, check it out with this colder air arriving here, building some of that snow across the Rockies and some of the higher terrain of British Columbia, some of the Washington, Oregon Cascades, Blue Mountains there, the Rocky Mountains of Idaho and Montana, Yellowstone getting a nice shot of cold air here as we go through next week. And we'll be watching that and breaking that down day by day. 6 to 10 day, you can see that reflected here with the below normal all the way through Halloween coming up here. And then as we go through the 6 to 10 day precipitation, nice above average signal here across much of the Pacific Northwest. 8 to 14 day, much of the West Coast below normals. We have those frontal systems, kind of that northwest track moving down across the area, and kind of a broad brush above average here as well. And we are in La Nina watch right now. I'm working on a video right now. I'm trying to rearrange things a little bit here and show you some new data. So I will be working on that today. Hopefully I will be able to release that by tonight. So La Nina video coming shortly. Otherwise, yeah, hope you guys are having a good day. Click like and subscribe. And again, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the join button down below, because you should be able to see a join button if you're on a desktop computer or whatnot. But I know some people on an iPhone or iPads are having a difficult time trying to find the join button. I'll try to look in that a little bit here today, and if not, maybe you can Google it and see how to, monetarily support a YouTube channel if you like. But otherwise, click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.